In the quiet village of Aziedu, there lived a farmer named Kwaku. He was a hardworking man known for his lush crops and generous nature. But his household was not as peaceful as his fields. Kwaku's second wife, Efua, was kind to everyone in public, but treated her stepdaughter, Ya, unfairly behind closed doors. Kwaku had two daughters, Ama, Efua's biological daughter, and Ya, his first child from his late wife. Ama was 14 years old, lively, and spoiled. Ya, on the other hand, was 13 years old, quiet, and often neglected. While Ama enjoyed hearty meals and new clothes, Ya was given scraps and hand-me-downs. Before we continue with the story, please consider subscribing to our channel for more heartfelt stories that teach valuable lessons and celebrate African traditions. Let's continue. Ya was small for her age, her frame frail from lack of food. She did her chores without complaint, but her empty stomach often growled as she watched Amma eat bowls of steaming rice and fish stew. Efua always saved the best meals for Amma, leaving Ya with leftovers or porridge so thin it was practically water. One evening, after the family had finished dinner, Ya sat outside alone, staring at the sky. Her stomach rumbled, but she didn't cry. She was used to the hunger, but deep down she wished for a little kindness. The next day, Efwa sent Ya to the forest to gather firewood. Be quick about it, Efwa snapped, and don't come back empty-handed. Ya nodded and picked up the heavy basket. As she walked into the forest, her bare feet crunched on dry leaves. The sun was hot and she was tired, but she kept going. Deep in the forest, Ya saw an old woman struggling with a basket of firewood and herbs. The woman's back was bent and her hands shook as she tried to lift it. Let me help you, Ya said, rushing over. The old woman looked at her with surprise. Child, aren't you tired? That basket is heavy. It's okay, Ya said, lifting the basket with both hands. She carried it alongside the woman until they reached a small hut hidden among the trees. The woman smiled warmly. You are kind and strong, even though I see hunger in your eyes. Why do you look so weary? Ya hesitated, then told the woman about her stepmother and how she was always giving scraps to eat. The old woman listened and then reached into her shawl, pulling out a small pouch of seeds. These are no ordinary seeds, she said. Plant them under the moonlight, and they will grow into food by morning. But remember, only take what you need. Ya's eyes widened. Thank you, she whispered, clutching the pouch tightly. That night, Ya waited until everyone was asleep. She sneaked outside and planted the seeds in a corner of the yard, where Efua never went. Under the moonlight, she dug small holes and whispered a prayer as she buried the seeds. When she woke up the next morning, she gasped. The garden had transformed into rows of ripe vegetables, juicy fruits, and golden yams. Ya quickly harvested enough for a meal, leaving the rest untouched. She cooked a warm stew and ate quietly, her heart full of gratitude. For the next few days, Ya repeated the process, always taking just enough to fill her belly. She felt stronger and happier, but she kept her garden a secret. Efwa soon noticed the change in Ya. Her cheeks were no longer hollow, and she didn't beg for food at meal times. One evening, Efwa watched Ya closely as she carried a bowl of stew to her room. Where are you getting food from? Efwa asked sharply. I I found some seeds, Ya said nervously, avoiding her stepmother's eyes. Efwa didn't believe her. That night she confided in Amma. Follow her tomorrow and see what she's up to, Efwa instructed. The next day, Amma followed Ya all through the day. She hid behind the old mango tree as her mother instructed. She saw Ya kneeling by her hidden garden, carefully plucking ripe vegetables. Ya whispered softly, "Thank you, kind old woman," as she harvested just enough for her meal, her face revealing a quiet gratitude. Amma ran back to the house, her heart racing. "Mama, I saw it. She has a secret garden behind the mango tree," Amma whispered excitedly. "She's getting food from it." Efua's eyes lit up with greed. "A secret garden. If the seed she has can grow food so fast, imagine how much we can have. We'll take everything." The next day, Efua and Amma went to the hidden garden with baskets. They tore out the plants without care, tossing them aside to reach the soil beneath. "There must be more seeds here," Efua muttered as she dug with her hands, throwing dirt over her shoulder. Her fingers found a small cloth pouch, dirt-stained, but intact. She opened it to find a few seeds inside. "These must be the magical seeds," Efwa said, her voice trembling with excitement. Ignoring Amma's worried look, Efwa marched back to the house and planted the seeds in their front yard. She poured water over the soil and whispered to herself, "By tomorrow morning, we'll have enough food to last forever." By sunrise, the garden was full of vibrant vegetables, fruits, and tubers. Efua and Amma clapped their hands in delight. "Look at this!" Amma exclaimed. "It's like a miracle." Efua wasted no time. She began picking the crops, filling her baskets greedily. But as she carried the food into the house, something strange happened. The vegetables began to wilt. The fruits turned black and sticky, and the yams crumbled into dust. Flies swarmed the rotting pile, and a foul smell filled the air. "Mama, what's happening?" Amma asked, clutching her stomach. She had taken a bite of a small pawpaw fruit before it rotted, and now she felt a sharp pain. Efwa froze in panic. "It's fine," she said, her voice shaky. "It's just bad luck. We'll plant more." But when Efwa dug into the soil again, it was dry and barren. The seeds were gone, leaving nothing behind. Her hands trembled as she realized the truth. The old woman's magic wasn't meant for greed. Amma's sudden illness and the decaying crops caused a stir among the villagers. Rumors spread quickly. "Something unnatural is happening at Kwaku's house," they whispered. "Could it be a curse?" Villagers gathered around Efua's yard, whispering in concern. Kwaku, hearing the commotion, rushed out of the house. His eyes widened at the sight of the decaying food, and his stepdaughter doubled over in pain. "What is going on here?" Kwaku demanded. Efwa stammered, trying to explain. It was Ya. She cursed the seeds." Ya stepped forward, tears in her eyes. "That's not true, Baba. The seeds were a gift. The old woman in the forest gave them to me because I helped her. She told me only to take what I needed, but Mama stole them." The villagers gasped, their eyes turning to Efua. Kwaku's eyes widened in disbelief. "Efua, is this true?" he asked, his tone sharp. Efua hesitated, her guilt evident on her face. She looked away, unable to meet Kwaku's piercing gaze. I thought the seeds were endless," she mumbled. "I didn't know there were rules." "You didn't care to ask." Kwaku's voice boomed, shaking the room. "You let your greed harm our family and this village," Ya continued, her small frame trembling but resolute. "The old woman warned me. The seeds weren't meant to be used selfishly. Now everything is ruined." The villagers, who had gathered outside the house, overheard the exchange. Murmurs of anger and disappointment rippled through the crowd. As tension mounted, the old woman appeared at the edge of the village, leaning on her staff. Her presence silenced the crowd instantly. Her eyes, filled with wisdom and quiet authority, scanned the faces before landing on Efua. "You have stolen what was not yours to take," the old woman said, her voice firm but calm. The seeds were a gift of gratitude, meant only for Yah's kindness. They were never yours to use for greed. Efua dropped to her knees, sobbing. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring harm. Please forgive me." The old woman's gaze softened slightly as she looked at Amma, who was still clutching her stomach. Greed blinds the heart and destroys what could have been shared. But even in mistakes, there is room for growth. Turning to Yah, the old woman smiled. "Child, your kindness saved you. Never lose that goodness, no matter what others do." The villagers, moved by the old woman's words, began to love Yah even more. They admired her strength and humility, vowing to support her. Kwaku, filled with regret, ensured that Yah was treated fairly from that day on. He divided the family's resources equally, making sure she never went hungry or unloved again. Efua, humbled and ashamed, worked hard to rebuild the family's trust. She mended her ways, treating Yah with newfound respect and kindness. The villagers, too, learned a valuable lesson. They stopped judging Yah by the lies they had heard and instead celebrated her resilience and kindness. The old woman became a symbol of wisdom in Asiedu, often sought out by those in need of guidance. The family's garden eventually grew again, but this time, Kwaku made sure it was cultivated with care and fairness. On market days, Ya and Ama stood side by side, selling their produce and sharing laughter. Moral of the story: greed and favoritism destroy families, but fairness and kindness build harmony. Even when faced with hardship, a kind heart can inspire change and create lasting bonds. If you love this story and want to hear more tales that teach timeless lessons, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps keep these stories alive for future generations.